Hey, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke, and if you are new here, this is a channel where I talk about houseplants and do different DIYs. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe. And if you are a recurring viewer, thank you so much for coming and watching another video of mine. So today I'm kind of racing against my allotted space on my phone because I just got back from vacation and I have plenty of photos and videos to share. But I wanted to share a haul of what I got. So I was in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and while it's the beach, it does have some great plant shopping areas, I would say. So last year I actually went and I did a haul. I did a haul like on location. I ended up bringing back a Anthurium queen Anthurium, and one more plant. I cannot remember. Oh, my Periso Verde. So I bought my first ever Periso Verde down there at Native Plant Shop, plant shop in Cocoa Beach. And so I went back, visited again, and have a few plants. I also visited an actually two Ace Hardwares, the same Ace Hardwares that are on the island that I visited last year. And then I actually went into Orlando and visited Succulents Empire. So if anybody is on Instagram, you have probably seen Succulents Empire. They are the place for rare plants, I would say. They have every plant I feel like you could possibly want, rare on the rare side. Any common plants, they don't carry that. They are strictly a rare plant carrier, and they have some incredible plants. And so I have I feel like shaky video because number one, we were in traffic for way too long because it was just ridiculous. And we got there 30 minutes before closing and ended up staying 5 minutes after closing, but they were so nice and such a great spot. It was just crazy to see the amount of plants that they had and just what they were. It was nuts. And so my husband and I actually ended up picking up the same plant. It was just in different size ranges. And it was like a $1,500 plant. So they have some pretty high priced plants, but I did enjoy them just to see what they had. No, we did not walk out of there spending $1,500 or nowhere near that. But this is what I've got. And so I'm going to share a bit about what I grabbed and how I got it back here because I am in Texas, if you don't know. So yes, I traveled back on the plane with these and I have done that several times. I have shorts on this in my YouTube, whatever catalog. So you can go check that out because I won't be sharing how I did that really in this video. I actually got super lax on this because it was just a crazy travel time, I felt like. So I took zero care and they all survived. And so I'm going to show you what I got and where I got it from. So first up, I am going to start off with Native Plant Shop in Cocoa Beach because I did not get any video footage of that shop. Last year I did, and I have video footage. Maybe I'll just roll it over here. But her shop is really cute and she's got some rare plants in there, common plants, just some fun stuff, plant bar, and really good quality and really good price. And so last year, she is where I bought my Queen Anthurium and my Periso Verde from. Now, my queen is still alive and kicking. It's working on its new leaf. It's been a little difficult and tricky, I will say, but it's held on. So this year from her, I actually didn't buy any plants, like major plants. I ended up picking up a pot, which was really cute. It's this super shallow dish lavender pot, which I'm really into lavender right now. I wanted to plant my variegated string of hearts in this. So I thought it would be perfect. Not this variegated string of hearts. I have a smaller one. And I thought it would be perfect. And the color was so pretty. And string of hearts, string of turtles, etc. I always pot them up in a shallow pot because the root system, in my personal experience, has been very small and shallow. So I picked that up from them. That was like $10. So really cool. And then really random. I was actually trying to find a Florida Beauty in one of the plant stores, and I did find them at the Succulents Empire, but it was just too much, I think, for what I was willing to pay. I am kind of interested in them, but it wasn't like a super interest, like I would spend a bunch of money on the plant. and they were still over like $100. And so I just wasn't into that. And she had them at her plant shop as well. I didn't see the price because it was on a big moss pole. I just immediately knew like I can't carry that on a plane. And so I didn't even bother. But I did ask her if she had any smaller versions, and she had this top cutting. And so, oh, this is a different plant. That really scared me. She had this top cutting that had just started rooting. Like, it does have a very small root system down there. And it had a decent amount of variegation on that leaf, on this leaf here, and then on this one here. So she sold it to me. I feel like she's very kind in that regard, because the last time I went in there, the Anthurium queen was not for sale. I asked her about it, and she was like, it's just imported. And I was like, I'll take a chance on it. And I did. And it ended up being really well rooted and a really great plant. So same here. She sold me this cutting, this 3-leaf cutting. It does have a new growth point. So I probably will eventually like chop this back if it starts to grow out. But for a starter plant, I was like, okay, it's good. Like, it works, and it fit in my baggage. I actually carried this on the plane with me, like in a little baggie. I just sent it through security, and voila, it is here. So that's what I got from Native Plant Shop. Nothing super exciting. Again, like the plants that I had already purchased. Well, I know I had already purchased plants before I went into her shop. Her shop was the last one that I visited. And so I knew that I had reached my maximum capacity on what I could bring. So I really didn't end up going crazy. But yeah, that's what I bought. Where I did go crazy was, let's start with the least crazy, actually. So the least crazy was at the Succulents Empire. So I ended up purchasing, how many plants? 3 plants, I guess, that are sitting before me, I think. I don't think I have any other plants. I think 3 plants. Okay. So I went to Succulents Empire with a clear motive, I guess. And so I'll show some videos of that. I only have vertical. Again, I got like so just time crunch and so much to look at. It was in a super small space, and they were doing a live auction when we were like walking in. And we had a stroller. It was like a mess, I felt like, but they were so nice, and they were like, no, just go look at whatever, ask me questions, as she's like trying to sell plants online. So it was really funny, but I asked her a lot of questions, I felt like, and she was super knowledgeable and kind to answer all of them. Now, again, I went in there with a specific plant in mind, and they ended up having it. So I purchased my first plant that I was like, yes, was this Philodendron Patriciae. I've been looking for one of these for, I don't know, a couple years now. And so that's kind of why I wanted the queen too. I'm really into like the pennant. I'm into the like just long elongated leaves, the pennant type foliage. And so this one I saw, I don't know, on somebody's plant channel, and it was just really pretty, and it drew me in. I actually couldn't find it like anywhere that unless you wanted to import it. And I wasn't about to do that because it was hundreds of dollars to do that. And I didn't feel like having the plant die on me. So I held out, and sure enough, they had one. They had 2 actually. And so I picked this one, and it was $50. That was a really, I thought, decent price. I was like, are we sure this is a Philodendron Patriciae? But it is tagged, and I do trust them, but only because I have seen it in plant stores, not plant stores, but online. I can't think of who had it exactly, but it was $100 for like a very small pot of it. And so $50, I was like, yes, put it in the cart. So I went in with a $75 budget. I'll tell you if I made that out at the end of this. So this one, yes, was my first put it in the cart plant. I was really excited about it. So this is the Philodendron Patriciae. They grow very large, and again, it is similar to an Anthurium. So I have an Anthurium pallitiflorum, which it's not the same, I know, but it grows the same. Like, it's just the long lobes, the pennant, the fall over leaves. They are climbers, which is crazy to think. So is the Queen Anthurium. I have heard that these are a little bit temperamental, so I will be watching it and making sure They do have it in a peat moss mix and then sphagnum moss on top, which that's how I have seen a lot of people grow it. When I'm looking at their videos, they have the sphagnum moss on top, just like a lot of the anthuriums that you see being grown, just to keep that moisture in. And so I have also researched, and they say give it at least 600 foot candles. Now, normally all of my plants are kept at 200 foot candles. So we will see how that does on this. It's not to say that it won't grow in 200 foot candles. It's just if you want it to thrive and be its most full and best version and give it its natural habitat, you do want to grow it in the 600 range, which is a really high light for me. So we'll see how that goes. But that is my first plant of my plant haul. Okay, my second plant from Succulents Empire is still kind of packaged up. So I should clarify, I also carried this on. I carried a lot of plants on this time because I just didn't feel like squishing them in my bag and dealing with it. So, because I was traveling with 2 children as well, and they already come with a lot of stuff. So I carried these on with me in a just brown paper bag. And so this second one is the, wow, Epiprimnum marble. So again, it was a plant that I went in there knowing I wanted. I knew that they had them because I had seen them online before, but in larger versions. So this guy, I actually got 2 of them for $25. So $50 plant. But this one right here is so just already long and crawling really well and already really well rooted. As you can see there, it has multiple aerial roots. And then this one over here has already got fenestrations here. I'm trying to find it in the camera. This one has a little fenestration. These ones over here on this vine also have the tiniest little fenestrations. They're so cute. And so I'm really excited about this one. I think that they're a beautiful plant, and the Epiprimnum, family, pothos family are just such easy growers. So I was very excited about this guy, and I thought $25 was really good because I have seen them in smaller forms for $25. They did have one that I contemplated on getting. It was already on a moss pole for $65, but I will be honest, the plant only had like 3 or 4 leaves, and it was tall, but I'm like, I'm just going to buy a full one for $25 a pop. And she potted them up together right there. So really excited to see how this guy grows and what he does. Again, I'm going to treat it like every other pothos Epiprimnum that I have and see how it does. But I probably will end up putting this one on a moss pole, because if I've learned anything from my Albo Epiprimnum pinnatum, is these guys do very well on a moss pole, and they just size up incredibly quick. So I have seen some videos of this being put on a moss pole and instantly sizing up and getting more and more fenestrations. So that's what I'll be doing with this one. Now, this guy, like right here, he's still, this is one pod, still tiny, doesn't have any trailing going on. So I'll just let him grow and wait. But for this guy, he definitely needs a moss pole to grow on. But I think that this is a beautiful plant, and I'm really excited to see it grow. Okay, the last one from Succulents Empire was this, which this is the saddest plant out of all of them, because I did put this one in the bags, or in like my checked carry-on bag. And I watered it before I put it in there. I put little paper towels around it that were wet, and sealed it up and just cushioned it. But it was really sad and droopy last night, and I didn't realize it until this morning that I needed to water it. So it's super sad, but this is the Scindapsus aurea. It is a yellow variegation and white, and it's really pretty, and it was really nice. And so I'm hoping that it stiffens back up. It's actually trailing already, so that's why I picked this one. This one was $65. So yes, I did go over my budget, a little bit, but oh, here it goes. Okay, so this guy, so he's already got a long trail going on. Again, I like searched through all their plants and picked the best looking ones because they had a ton of these guys. And this is the only one that I found that was trailing, so I was really excited about it. But it's a really long little vine, and so I was excited and hopeful. Now, Scindapsus, in my personal experience, do require a little bit more light than you would like to think. So my Scindapsus pictus and exotica, if I put them in high light, and I mean high light, like again, probably 200 to 300 foot candles under my Barina grow lights, they do really well and they thrive. But if I take them out of that and put them in a lower light situation, say just a southwest facing window, 6 feet back, they do not do well. They immediately decline. And so I am going to test this out because it is a variegated plant, even though it is a Scindapsus, to see where it needs to be, because I definitely don't want to burn it or like stop the variegation. Sometimes if you put a highly variegated plant, I have found underneath a grow light, it kind of just pauses it. I don't know what happens, but it just stunts it. And so I am going to see how much light this guy needs. I don't have any like care tips or knowledge on this. And so if you do, go ahead and put them in the comments, because this is the only plant that I didn't go in there like expecting to get, but just really enjoyed. And so, yeah, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear your experience with these guys. But this is what I'm excited about because I'm really into the yellow variegation, like the Aurea variegation. So that's why I love the Monstera Aurea, which is right here. It's, again, it's the same variegation as my Scindapsus, just in a Monstera version. But really excited about that. That was my haul from the Succulents Empire in Orlando. So if you were in that area and you're a plant person, I would go check them out. It's just, again, really fun, and they're so nice. And even with those $1,000 plants that we were picking up, like she was laughing and saying like, oh, I do. Obviously they do free shipping, by the way, on $100 plus purchase order. I should have had them ship these, but they're very nice. She's like, oh, if you buy it right now, I'll ship it to you for free. But they were just very kind and very nice and knowledgeable. And that's what I really enjoy in a plant shop, is somebody who is helpful and just tells you, like, if you don't know it, because I didn't know a lot of those plants. I'll be honest, like a lot of those plants in there were things that I had never seen before, didn't know anything about, because they were so rare and uncommon. And so she was just taking her time explaining them all to me. And I really appreciated that, even though I didn't have the money to spend on the plants. So really good shop to go check out if you're in that area. Last place, and the least expensive plants that I purchased, but honestly, kind of one of the most exciting plants. So last year when I went, I visited, again, all the Ace Hardwares on Cocoa Beach, which are 2. And the one had some really great like anthuriums. They were massive, like the plants that I could not bring back with me, and wouldn't want to bring back with me, but just some super rare and uncommon plants. And that was really fun to see. They didn't have anything this time, but the other Ace Hardware on the other side, they had a Burley Marks, and I thought that I had a video of this, but I guess I don't. So last year, I honestly thought about buying it. It was in a 1-gallon pot for 20 bucks. I really love my Burley Marks variegated, and so I really liked the unvariegated, and I have been searching for an unvariegated version, and I just have never found them in person. And my husband says that I don't remember it, but he said it was too expensive and in a really small pot. So I trust him, but I just haven't seen it. Again, I've seen the variegated form of it, but not the unvariegated form. So when we went into that Ace Hardware, it was a gallon pot. It was huge. I couldn't bring it back with me, but I really wanted to bring it back with me. And so this time I went in and I told myself, I was like, if it's still here, I'm going to get it, because it's 20 bucks and hopefully it would still be 20 bucks. And it was massive, and I have not found that anywhere else. I'll figure out what to do with it and how to get it home. And wouldn't you know, I walked in and I found it. So I'll show a photo, video. I'm not really sure what I have. Don't remember of it, but it was in a massive 1-gallon pot, still in the same spot. So I have a feeling this is the same plant. It grew a lot. So it was even bigger than the previous time of visiting. And so I thought this has to be the same plant, but there's no way that that same plant would sit there for a year. So I'll never know. So I did end up getting it. And I had a ball trying to get this thing out. So I'll show a video overlay of what I did. So for starters, again, it's in a 1 gallon pot. I knew I wasn't bringing that pot with me or that soil. I don't know if TSA has limits on how much soil you can bring, you know, through TSA and check security and all of that in your baggage that you carry on. I just assumed that I couldn't. And so I wasn't even going to try. And my first thought was some of the plant was breaking and had broken. I was going to just cut it up and then, you know, get it home and propagate it. So I took it out of the pot, cut the pot open, threw the pot away, wasn't even going to bother keeping it, took all of the soil off. I washed it off. It took me quite some time to remove all of it. But there were so many plants in this one pot, and I just decided that I wasn't going to chop it. I was going to keep it as is. So I did. I kept them all together as is, fully rooted, didn't cut any of it, and I put the biggest pieces in my checked bag, and I literally just laid them over my luggage, like over my clothing, and then put plastic baggies and paper towels all over the roots just to keep them moist through traveling, and then put a towel over them and just closed my bag up and prayed that they would make it. And guess what? They did. Because again, part of them were already broken, so I wasn't really worried about if a few pieces broke or a few leaves, because this plant was massive. It was huge. So it was not my biggest worry if like they got a little scuffed up during travel. But surprisingly, they made it perfectly. Not one of them broke off. There was not one missing leaf. Everything came out very well. And so here is this plant. It is a little saggy, so I have been soaking the roots for the last 24 hours. But this is the plant. Look at this. This is part of it. And then I did carry on the smaller pieces. And then there was a smaller section, like even smaller section, that I actually gave to my mom, and she took it home. And so this was the half that I took on the plane with me and put in my little carry-on bag that I had. And so these roots, I mean, it's so well rooted, and there were so many plants. And so I'm gonna separate some of these and definitely propagate, but I think this all I probably will just plant up together. And so when we got here last night, I was sticking it in this jar. This is not even a jar, it's a pitcher. I was sticking it in this pitcher, and not all of them could fit in here. And they just had, again, burley marxes are so fascinating the way they grow. Like their growth pattern is not normal to any other philodendron that I've seen. Most philodendron, they have one vine, one section of plant, you know, that grows. This grows from every single point on the plant. I don't know how to describe it, but I've shared it for my burley marx variegated before. Same for this guy. It's just a crazy grower. Like we have one section right here that you see all these different growth points. They're just coming out of one vine, and then they sprout off 3 more growth points. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Oops, I did just kill that leaf. Ooh, can't get it now. But it is crazy. So last night I was looking at it and I just started chopping it in different places because they were rooted in multiple areas on one vine. And so I was like, you know what? That's one plant. So I can split it. It's already well rooted on both sections, and I can plant them up. And so that's what I did. I just went through and kind of chopped them up, and yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm going to, again, pop this up here sometime shortly because I definitely don't want it sitting in this water and stressing it out and then losing a bunch of foliage. So I'm definitely going to pop this up into soil and plant it. And then I will probably propagate some of these pieces because these are the smaller plants that came off of the larger one, and then see where we're at. But I was just super excited about it. $20, it made it back. That's also why I was like, this plant was $20. It was massive, so I knew some of it would get there. Wasn't worried about every single little piece getting here perfectly, but it did, and so that was a plus. But this was my cool Ace Hardware ridiculous purchase. Now my second one that I got from that same Ace Hardware actually had a lot of great plants, and maybe I'll share videos of that. So they had some plants there. One of them said it was a white princess philodendron. I don't believe so. I feel like it was an MB, but I don't know. Didn't have any variegation on it. That's why I say that. And then they had, what else did they have? They had so many different plants that were really big. And if you're in the area, it would be great. But again, not for me because I couldn't bring them. But they did have a philodendron esmeraldens. And so I bought it. It was 20 bucks. I have seen this before in stores for about $30 to $40, but not often. It's pretty uncommon, I think. But when I saw it, I was like, yes, we're getting that because this plant is really full and super already, like just this spot is growing and looks to be like it's ready to climb. And so I picked this one out. It looked the best. It had the best foliage and growth. So I'm really excited about this because this is a massive plant. This gets very big and they have almost like King Veitchii leaves, Anthurium. Okay. They have pleated leaves, just like an Anthurium veitchii. And so it's just a very interesting plant, but 20 bucks, I was really excited. I did, again, bring this up front with me, set it under my seat, and carried it on just because I didn't want all of this to break, because it is a really full plant for a 4-inch pot. And it definitely needs to be repotted because you can see that the roots are all coming out of the bottom. So that was really it. That was my plant haul. I came home with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants because one of them was just a water propagation. But super fun time there looking at all the plants. Definitely Succulents Empire was, I'm choking now. Definitely Succulents Empire was a highlight just to see all the different plants. Not even to like need to purchase them or anything. It was just really fun to look through their collection and see what they had. So I definitely would go check them out, but I'm really excited about these plants. Some of them will be chopped up. And then, well, mainly my burley marks, that's massive, will be chopped up. These guys will not be chopped up. But I'm really excited to see them grow and do another recap. Maybe I should do another recap of like where my plants are now from my last haul, because I can guarantee you my Paraiso Verde though is dead. Like it's not dead, it's still alive. I just don't like it because I didn't know the variegation, all of that stuff that comes with owning one of those. I had actually never seen that plant prior to walking in that store. So anyways, maybe that would not be a good video, but we'll definitely keep you updated on all of these, especially my Philodendron Patriciae. I'm really excited about that one to see how it grows and what its care needs are. So we'll keep you posted on that. Make sure to subscribe and we will see you next time.